Hello everybody in YouTube land and welcome to a re-rank of the Circle Undone. 4 years later, 4-ish years, it could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more. But I'm here to talk through all of the Circle Undone player cards that actually are now out currently in the Circle Undone Investigator box, thanks to the re-release. And I'm looking forward to doing that for a pretty big reason, actually. And Circle Undone was the first campaign for me when the player cards were coming out. I wasn't really excited about them. It's one of those things that, like, when we were building our decks, me, Travis, and Bryn, I was very much like, these cards don't really move the needle for me, and I find them to be very forgettable. Which is kind of funny looking back, because I do think that there are a lot of good player cards in this set, especially as we get into it and start, like, crunching the numbers and reading all this stuff that we're going to be reading. But it was just a little bit funny about, like, the vibes of the cards didn't really work for me. But also, like, as a whole, the Circle Undone expansion didn't really work for me personally. And it actually kind of carried into Dream Eaters. But then once Innsmouth came out, I was like, okay, I'm back into this again. It's a little funny. Like, for me, my player card Dark Spot existed in Circle Undone and Dream Eaters, which is kind of wild to see. But I'm going to see if that actually holds true as we go through the cards today. Because I do think we are out of the point for the most part. I could be wrong. I actually didn't look through these cards here. There's a lot of them. But I feel like we're starting to get to the shifting point where, like, this, I regret playing this, is going to become smaller and smaller. I could be wrong looking at some of the cards as I'm going through here, but we're going to be finding that out. So, I regret playing this. Like a good daycare owner or a good teacher, there are no bad cards. There are no bad cards, but there are cards that I like less than other cards, and cards that I don't think are particularly playable, and cards that I would rather not put into my deck, or cards that I was like, maybe this isn't as bad as everyone says, and then I put it into my deck and I was like, oh god. So yeah, the I regret playing this is kind of where the no bad card lives. Fine is where a card that is fine, right? It does its job. Its job isn't particularly impressive. It goes up a tier if it's, like, in the deck that's, like, perfectly built for it, but otherwise, like, in, like, the peak situation, but most of the time the card is just going to function and kind of just be okay. Good is where we're starting to get to the cards that are just universally always going to be functioning and always at least be a passable effect that you're happy to play. Great. Now we're going to get into the cards that move the needle. They're the cards that when you draw, you do the Antonio Banderas lean back meme. That's kind of like where we're looking at that. Fantastic are the cards that they're just really fantastic. They do their job so damn well. They ask for very little for the job to get done. And then, in particular, they also just, like, rock it. They just, like, always rock it, and they bring the noise. And then we got Busted, where we're going to see the fewest cards in theory. These are the cards that kind of just break the game, or break aspects of the game, or alternatively are just so damn powerful that it feels bad to play them because they're just, like, so good. Shannick Power, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the goddamn table. Why don't we dive in with our first card here, which is Interrogate. A 2-cost event, Parlay, Tactic, and Insight. Choose a humanoid enemy at your location and test Fist 3. This test gets +X difficulty, where X is the chosen enemy's damage value. If you succeed, discover 1 clue at your location and 1 clue at any other location. So notably, I am going to weigh in on with the taboo list for some of these cards. Like, they're going to kind of be on there. I don't remember actually what I did for the previous videos, but this card was recently tabooed to be choose an enemy, so it doesn't necessarily need to be a humanoid anymore. So for me, I think it would put it up into the fine tier with the taboo list. So I'm going to, like, refer to where I think it should be with the taboo list. But I think generally I'm going to we're going to not. We're going to rank without it. This was a weird campaign where a lot of humanoid enemies only dealt horror, which actually makes Interrogate not super better, but much better in that one, because then it doesn't get the difficulty increase. I've never played this card. It's still on my play all card challenge as one of the cards that I have yet to play this year, and it's December 1st. So, like, that's kind of a showcase for Interrogate. I don't think the card is really good. If you compare this to, it's tabloid to non-elite. Okay, so you can no longer interrogate an elite humanoid. If you compare this to Scene of the Crime, just testless 2 clues is a lot better than test clues. So I'm actually going to be putting this one into the I regret playing this tier. I don't think Interrogate is a good card. I think even with the taboo, it's kind of just like living up over here. So I'm going to just, yeah. I'm going to just put this over here. I think if this was actually like printed today, it would have a reduced cost, because I don't really think 2 clues, like, I mean, compare this to Scene of the Crime. The downside of Scene of the Crime is that you have to play it as your first action. Okay, I'll do it. You know, I'll do it as my first action and love doing it. On next to Delay the Inevitable. This is a 2-cost event, fast, play only during your turn, attached to an investigator location and let under his or her control. As a reaction, when you're dealt damage and or horror, discard Delay the Inevitable and cancel all damage and or horror just dealt. Forced, when the Mythos phase ends, you must either spend 2 resources or discard Delay the Inevitable. Hey, this card's actually pretty cool. It's obviously really good in Diana Stanley, right? You basically are just using this as a ward of protection or a dodge, and then you're putting it under you and getting paid for it. It's one of those things where just like this card is basically just doing an impression of other cards, right? Like it's doing an impression of a dodge. It's doing an impression of a ward of protection, right? Does this work infinitely with Diana? Yes, if you play it off your Twilight Blade, I'm pretty sure you can still make it work. Also, yeah, it's really nice for Joe as well. I think the card on its own is kind of just fine. You really don't see it played in a lot of spaces outside of those. But I think within the homes that this card is really nice in, I think this card's really, really good in. Like, it's great in Diana. It's good in Joe, I think. And I think it's fine everywhere else. I don't really know, but my gut is also saying to put it in good. My gut's also saying, like, it can live in good and we can be happy, or it can live in fine and we can be happy. I think I'm going to put it in fine just because the initial 2 resources means that if you're using this to protect yourself in the Mythos phase, it can kind of just do nothing if you draw the wrong card. I think you need a game plan for this to really shine, and I think that's kind of like where the card lives for fine. It's a cool card, though. I like the design of it a lot. Steadfast. While you have 5 or more total remaining health and oh, this is a skill, by the way. Commits for a brain and a fist. This is from a cycle of cards that we're going to see a lot of in these opening cards here in Circle Undone, because they came out in the original deluxe box. While you have 5 or more total remaining health and sanity, Steadfast gains Brain Fist. While you have 10 or more total health remaining and sanity, you Steadfast gains Brain, Brain, Fist, Fist. So it basically turns into Brain, 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 Fist, Fist, Fist. This is an interesting card that, in theory, it means that as the scenarios get harder and you have more damage and horror on you, and the tests become more relevant, it gets worse. However, I personally actually find that to not be the case with Steadfast, which is really... Because I do agree, in theory, this card should scale worse as the game goes. However, I think the first Steadfast does a really good job at protecting you from getting into that situation, and then the second Steadfast also does a really good job at, you know, making sure you're passing a test, but also while keeping you protected. I like some of these in this cycle, and I think that, like, anything that has brain is just going to kind of generally be a better card for this. And it kind of lives in the same kind of world as Take the Initiative, right? Take the Initiative, 3 wilds, loses a wild for every test performed before this one. It's really good Mythos protection, and it kind of is just a less versatile Take the Initiative. And I think Take the Initiative would be a great card, so I'm going to put Steadfast as just a generically good card. Card is just generically good, and it's going to do its job. We got Ace of Swords. So, tarot cards. There's a tarot slot, 3 cost, 1 experience. You get +1 fist. When the game begins, if Ace of Swords in your opening hand, put into play. All the tarots have this tarot effect, and it's always exciting when you get one in your opening hand. Otherwise, 3 cost and 1 experience for +1 fist is hard to say, like, that's bad. I don't think it's particularly necessary. I do think that Guardian weapons, and even Survivor weapons, and even Rogue weapons do a good job at giving you a very relevant fist boost to your attacks. So, while I rarely take Ace of Swords, I do think the card is a really nice effect. It's going to be interesting, because we have, 6 tarots in here? We have Ace of Swords, we got Death 13, we got the Moon, which is hiding right here, and we have 4 of Cups, and then we got the other 2. So I guess the question is, where do they all live with each other? So like Ace of Swords, Death, and 4 of Cups. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put this up in the gray tier, and I think all the other ones can kind of just live in those other places. Look at this, we got just a line. Guardian is just moving on up. You love to see it. All right, next thing here is we got Fingerprint Kit. This is a 4 cost item tool asset that takes up the hand slot. Uses 3 supplies. Exhaust Fingerprint Kit and spend 1 supply. Investigate. You get +1 brain for this investigation. If you succeed, you discover 1 initial clue at your location. So this card is interesting because this is one that I actually like from my own personal experience. Travis really likes Fingerprint Kit. But I've seen a lot of people in the community dislike Fingerprint Kit a lot. And it's one of those things where for me personally, I'm not a huge fan of Fingerprint Kit. I don't think the card is awful. I don't think it lives down into the I regret playing this, which is where some people put it in. But I don't think the card is particularly good. I'm going to be putting Fingerprint Kit in fine. And a lot of this comes from my playstyle, which is my 4 resources are better spent elsewhere, right? I will make up, rather than do the test that comes with this card to get, like, this is basically a spell, right? This card is basically a clairvoyance, right? Like, that's kind of the idea behind this. It is basically that. And I don't like those spell assets that much. There's a reason why Mystic is my least played class, because for my game theory in Arkham is that I like to, all my actions, everything that I do, I would like to progress the game forward. And I really enjoy saving on actions in other ways. So instead of doing the Fingerprint Kit to get an additional clue, I would rather spend my action and 3 resources on a Pathfinder instead. Yes, it costs experience, but like that's kind of like what my game plan is working towards. Crush those actions and don't worry about getting more actions with the Fingerprint Kit, because also the reason why Book V Shroud, so that's when you just do a basic investigate, is good is because it's the least stressful action you can take in the game, and you have nothing but time to take it. So for me, I can understand, like, Fingerprint Kit is very much Travis's playstyle, which is like, get the thing down, get the value out of the thing. But for me and my playstyle, Fingerprint Kit doesn't do enough. So yeah, I don't think the card's bad. Like people who say like Fingerprint's bad, I don't think the card's bad because it's still just in the right deck. Really nice for that. How does a 4-resource non-fast event draw 3 deductions sound? Well, okay, so it doesn't actually do that, right? It doesn't actually do that. Because it's not drawing cards out of your deck, right? It's just like, it's not adding to your hand size, right? It's not like things like that, you know, like I think that is an argument that is actually false for what Fingerprint actually does. Because I mean, like, if I'm looking at my opening hand and I have 4 resources, I have 5 resources, and I have Dr. Milan and Fingerprint Kit. I'm going to say, why is Fingerprint Kit here? I'm going to play Dr. Milan and then just do some basic investigates, get value, and just like one of those things. There's just better things to do. Magnifying Glass, I think, also just trumps Fingerprint Kit entirely for me. Wilson's going to pop off with the kit. Wilson can investigate at 5 with the kit. That is true. That is true. Wilson Richards can investigate with 5 at the kit. I really like it if I have access to Active Desperation too. Yeah, definitely. That's a Active Desperation Fingerprint Kit is really damn sick. Yeah, it's just not my playstyle, but I don't think the card's bad. But I also don't think the card is good. All right, we got Connect the Dots 4-cost event. It's an insight. Fast. Play after you discover the last clue location. Discover 2 clues at a location with lower printed shroud value than your location. So I actually played this recently. And by recently, I mean sometime within the year 2023. Gabriel, how's it going? And I was impressed by it, but then I was like, wait a minute. I'm just living the world where it worked and forgetting about the worlds where it just didn't work. This card has a lot of hoops, and I agree with what Astute Dunsparce just said. We can blame Joe for this card costing 4, you know? It's very expensive. And as we just talked about with Fingerprint Kit, 4 resources is a very sticky number for the Seeker class. However, Seeker does have quite good resource economy, so Connect the Dots is going to be less of an issue because of that. However, it's still very expensive, you know? It's still very expensive, and it is also just has a lot of stipulations, right? Where you need to discover clues on the higher shroud location, right? So you are on the harder location to get free clues off the easier location, right? So it's one of those things where that's not great, right? Like, if you're needing help, I mean, yes, I understand the idea is that it's expediting your clues. It's giving you quote-unquote deductions, right? It's just one of those things where, like, you want to spend your cards that expedite your clues on the higher shroud locations. Like, yes, maybe there is there's a 5 shroud location and a 4 shroud location, and you look what I found the last on the 5, and then you buy them with the 4. That still costs you 6 resources. I don't think Connect the Dots is ultimately worth it, and I think for me personally, I'm actually going to be putting this into the I regret playing this tier. I don't even think the card's fine. I don't think Connect the Dots is great. So I'm going to be putting it down here. Rest in peace, Connect the Dots. It just costs so much freaking money, man. Demand more. Even demand more from your resources. Curiosity. Innate skill commits for a brain and a book. While you have 4 or more cards in hand, Curiosity gains brain book. While you have 7 more cards in hand, Curiosity gains brain book instead. So I think really the only home for this card is kind of just, I mean, like, yeah, big hand decks, but like Harvey Walters. I watched one of our patrons, Dice Gods, play a big hand Harvey deck, and Curiosity was very impressive in that deck. But it also helped that it was a versatile deck, so like kind of that's where Curiosity can work really well. as like your 31st to 35th card, right? It's one of those things that like never really shines too much for me. And I know Travis was he was upset by us putting, well, Bryn and I, in our ranking the seeker skills, putting analysts, is that analysis? There we go. Analyst? Analysis behind curiosity. And that's one that was Bryn as well, because I let Bryn dictate a lot of those, and I add my own 2 cents in and put my foot down occasionally. But I think that for me personally, in my own rating, analysis would be ahead of curiosity. But I don't think the card's bad, but I don't think it's particularly good. And I think I'm going to put curiosity in the fine tier. Mostly because I think it goes up in value if you're hand-sized, but generally, just run perception and don't worry about your brain. Lucas GBO, thank you so much for 3 months of the golden table on a 2-month streak. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Okay. Used to play this with Silas. I mean, Silas can get a big hand size. I think there's better options now, but I mean, I know people have asked me to do a flex Silas, which to me seems like a lot of work to play a worse Silas. But it is possible, and I think curiosity can shine there. Jolie, thank you so much. Jolie, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime subscription, and welcome to the golden table. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for using your Bezos bucks. All right, let's keep this going. Death 13. So, this is a 3 cost, 1 experience tarot. You get +1 book. Takes up the tarot slot and has the same tarot slot text where it goes into play. This is probably my most played tarot. Mostly because I play Mystics the least. Mostly because most of my gameplay is two-handed, and I don't like Mystics and two-handed that much. I mean, I think I'm gonna put it in great as well. I don't think it's enough for me to be fantastic. I don't think it's a fantastic card. I'm curious to see what fantastic cards we're gonna get in here. As I'm just like scrolling through. Oh, I see one. I see one for sure. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put it in the great tier. I mean, +1 book. It's hard to say no to. All right, on to the rogue cards. We got Well Connected. So Well Connected, 2 cost, condition, limit 1 per investigator. Exhaust Well Connected, you get +1 skill value for this skill test for every 5 resource you have. Should this be better because the blue tarot card gives you high-level weapons and gives a huge fist boost anyway, and there is an equivalent for book? There is an equivalent for book. It's called Magnifying Glass, one of the strongest cards in the game. So to me, it's not enough. Like I'll spend my experience elsewhere for the most part. I don't think it's necessarily. I think like this one, the fist one, and the brain one are all in the same tier. I like Well Connected. It's kind of a linchpin of big money decks. When you get the money flowing freely, this card's really good. It basically just stops everything. Like, it stops Mythos cards, it stops other things. I hope that there is a plan for FFG to reprint the Return To cards. Because, hey, Steph, how's it going? I hope there's a plan for FFG to reprint the Return To cards. Because Well Connected, the upgraded version, I think it's Well Connected 3, right? Is really good. And it really, really makes big money decks sing. I'm going to put this in the good tier, though. I think Well Connected is really good. It is still incredibly playable with only the level 0 version. But it's... I mean, you get 10 money, this is an unexpected courage for the rest of the game. You get 15 money, it's an unexpected courage and a half for the rest of the game. You get 20 money, and that's 2 unexpected courages every time you use it. And that's a really... Like, it's a lot of work, but you are big money. So do that. That's your deck. Money Talks. Fast. Play when you initiate a skill test. Instead of the skill type indicated for this test, this is a resource skill test. Your base skill value for this test is equal to half the number of resources in your resource pool, rounded down. So, I think this card to me is, I play it less than Well Connected, but I still think it is good. Like, in the big money decks. I mean, I think we put it in... If I look at my definition... So you need 10 money. Because, like, you can't commit cards to the test because it becomes a resource skill test. How funny would it be, though, if they added a resource symbol in the skills, in the skill icons? And it, you know what, I'm going to put it in fine. I actually am going to move Money Talks down to fine, and I'll get to my reasoning in a second. But it'd be funny if they had, like, a resource icons in the icon over here, and you could commit it to this test or use it to reduce the cost of, like, pay for one of a card when you do it. That'd be a very different game, but I think that would be kind of fun to see. Okay. So the reason why Money Talks went to this is because I've actually had a lot... The reason why I don't play Money Talks that often is there's an awkward point in some big money decks where you are... I don't think this the resource symbol is necessarily just a digital game. Just like, I pay a 2-cost card, I pay with 1 resource and this card from my hand. I think that's very doable in paper as well. But back to Money Talks. There's an awkward point within some games where you're playing your big money deck where you have to, like, play your cards that give you money, and then you have to, like, make your money, right? And this card is just dead during that time because it doesn't even have an icon to, like, commit for it. So the card just, like, takes up space, and it's just like, I mean, if I have to discard a card from a Mythos card, I'm probably just going to discard Money Talks. So I think for that reason, I think the card is more dead than it is live. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting it in the fine tier. Because I think, I mean, I was going to put it in good, but I actually don't think it is. Sorry, just trying to get this a little bit more lined up. Because I'm just a little bit too big. Okay, what's next? Cunning. While you have 5 or more resources, so it's an innate skill, commits for a book and a foot. While you have 5 or more resources, Cunning gains book, foot. While you have 10 or more, it gains book, foot. I think this card's fine. I'm going to put it in the fine tier. I don't really want to talk about it that much because it's kind of just in the same boat as Money Talks. Yes, fist and foot, book and foot are 2 symbols that rogues use a lot of, but I would rather just play manual decks or perception over this because they replace themselves, and that's not necessarily true with Steadfast, but it is true with both Cunning and Curiosity. That's kind of where I look at these cards, right? Where would I rather run the neutral versions of them? And while, yeah, I probably would play... If I had to choose between this and Overpower, I would choose it. But if I had to choose between this and Guts, I'd probably play this over Guts in most Guardian decks. Okay. We got the Moon. This is the green tarot. You get +1 foot. I think the effect is just good. If you are using your foot, like, for example, if you are Winifred Habermuck, if you are Keimani Jones, if you are, I don't know, Finn Edwards, and you're using your foot in some weird build, which, I mean, it doesn't actually, is not that weird, but it's not the Findex I build, the effect's good. This card shot up in value with Thieves' Kit, which is a banger card, and if you're just using your foot, I think the card is good. I know Travis and Bryn aren't necessarily high on the Moon, and that's cool with me. I'm not bothered by that. Yeah, if you're dirty in a fight, this card's really good, but I do think that this card has gotten better over time. Like, if you asked me before Scarlet Keys, I would probably have put this down here, but I think with Scarlet Keys, card's banger. So really in the core box, your only upgrades were the tarot cards. That's wild. Deny Existence. That card's fantastic. So, 0-cost event. Spell Paradox. Fast. Play one encounter card or enemy attack would cause you to do one of the following. Choose one. Discard cards from hand, lose resources, lose actions, take a damage, or take a horror. You ignore that aspect of that effect. Each other aspect resolves normally. So, Deny Existence is really good. I would even go as far as to put it in the fantastic tier. I will run this over Ward of Protection a good chunk of time, which is crazy. If you told me that like 5 years ago, not 4 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, the card's good, but Ward of Protection is Ward of Protection. But Deny Existence has some things going for it for me. I mean, I still think Ward of Protection is a fantastic card, and I play it a majority of the time. But I actually have ended up cutting Ward of Protection recently and running only Deny Existence for my Mythos Protection package. But it's one of those things where it's just a lot more versatile, and it's free, baby. It's free. Which I really like, because your economy, even on a 1-cost card, even though those are also free, doesn't matter. It being able to block enemy attacks is huge. And I do understand that people think that this card has gotten worse. I don't think, like, I do, like, the card has gotten worse with the changes to the FAQ with the for each every rule. But I'm also like a stern believer that the for each for every rule was like one of the best changes they made to the rules in a long time in Arkham. And it's one of those things where I think that it's really nice, and it's a good way of making Deny Existence feel a little bit more like a level 0 card while still being as powerful as it was. Deny Existence 5 exists, and it's also really good, but it costs 5 experience. But the Deny Existence 0 is a shiny card that I think is just absolutely killer. Card's really good. I really just wish it said... So here's in my perfect world. It would say when a non-weakness encounter card or enemy attack would do one of the following. But then this for each and for every rule still existed. Now we're talking. That's kind of where I want Arkham to live. Alright, Eldritch Inspiration, 0 cost, Spell Spirit fast. Play when you can resolve an effect on a Mystic card that triggers when a Skull, Cultist, Tablet, Squid, or Autofail symbol is revealed. Either cancel that effect or resolve it an additional time. Card is fine. I don't think the card is... Are there still any weaknesses left for Deny to Abuse? Yes, Thrice Damned Curiosity. It still works for that one. So Eldritch Inspiration. It's fine. If you're playing a deck where you don't want to get shriveled, like you're going to the big one, it's really good. If you're playing a deck like Sixth Sense, where you want to do it multiple times, the card is really nice. It commits for relevant icons if you ever are in a situation where you need to just commit it. That's really nice. Card's just fine. I don't think it's particularly good, because like what the slot does isn't exactly exciting, and you're kind of be building around it to make it better, so the card is just going to live in fine for me. We got Prophesy. This is a skill practiced, commits for a wild. While there are 3 or more Doom in play, Prophesy gains wild. When there are 6 or more Doom in play, Prophesy gains wild instead. How it works with Sixth Sense? You do the skull symbol an additional time. We'll get to Sixth Sense when it shows up, but you resolve it twice. I think Prophesy is a good card. So when we go back to Steadfast, where we talked about how the card can potentially scale negatively as the game goes, Prophesy actually scales positively as the game goes. Yes, Russ, hello, I see you. Do you want me to get my blanket? And you can sit on my lap? Here, come here. Come sit on my lap. Oh, good boy. So when there is the most Doom in play, that is the situation in which you have to worry the most about passing your tests, and Prophesy is really good for that. I know Travis also really likes Prophesy because it is a wild practice skill. Yeah, my little boy. It's a wild practice skill, which I think Travis is really good. Is really happy with whenever he can see one of those. So I dig Prophesy. I think it's a good card. 4 of Cups. This is the Mystic one. It commits for... well, it doesn't commit for anything, but it gives you the brain. I think it's also great. I don't think it's fantastic. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe this one can live up here. I think I am going to put it up here. I think I am going to put it in Fantastic. Brain is everything for Mystics. It's everything. I think I will. I mean, I think I'll put it in Fantastic. By the way, Six to the Bone, thank you so much for the follow. Brain is everything for Mystics. We recently did a video where we ranked all the tarot cards, and we had Four of Cups as number 1. And I think that is also the case here. Card is good. Brain is everything. Yeah, Brain is life for those damn Mystics. Okay. On to the Survivor cards. We got Track Shoes. So Track Shoes is a 3-cost asset. Limit 1 footwear per investigator. You get +1 foot. After you move, but before enemies at your new location engage you, exhaust Track Shoes and test foot 3. If you succeed, move to a connecting location. I think that this card is great. The +1 foot is incredibly relevant. The movement ability is really good. It's really good. There are a lot of investigators who want to play it. Finn Edwards, Rita Young, Silas Marsh, right? You can also even put it on Kelvin, and he won't blink about that. He's really good. It's one of those things where it's just like, it reads like really basic, and you're like, why is this card, like, why is Justin putting this in great? You just gotta play with it. The free move that you can get, it actually helps you with the foot test as well. Card just like really shines. The Secret Red Tarot. Amen. 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 Speaking of finding God, we have Act of Desperation. So this is a 0-cost event, commits for a fist. As additional cost to play Act of Desperation, choose and discard an item asset that takes up at least 1 hand slot from your hand or play area. Time Roller, how's it going? Fight, you get +X fist and deal +1 damage for this attack, where X is the asset's per resource cost, and if you succeed and that asset was in your play area, you gain X resources. So, I think I'm going to go out on a little bit, of a limb here. And I'm going to put this up in the Fantastic tier. I think this card is wild for a level 0 card. It does so much for so little. Okay? It's economy. It's a super attack. It's basically a kill spell. And it gives you $1 million. Like, yeah, if you're throwing a 1-cost item at people, right? If you're throwing, like, I don't know, what were they, like a meat cleaver, you know? Like, why am I doing that, right? That's all that, I mean, like, in that one, I mean, you could throw in a cult lexicon, you could throw a camera at people, you could throw your freaking fingerprint kit at people. But it's one of those things that this card is like, I think, it's wild. It costs nothing. You gain usually 3 to 5 resources, and it deals 2 damage while giving you +3 to 5 fist. Like, yeah, this card is probably, like, it hurts so bad when you draw an auto fail with this card, but, like, just don't do that. Just don't be unlucky like I am. Just be lucky like Travis is, and you'll be great. The dream is throwing your Thompson at someone, and I have lived that dream with fucking Mark Harrigan, and it's incredible. You put some, like, well-maintains on it. Oh my god, this card is insane. It's awesome. It's a kill spell. It's a kill spell that, like, gives you money. Card's insane. I don't think it's busted. Oh, Russ, no, we're not playing. I don't think it's busted, but I think the card is utterly fantastic. Next up, we got Able-Bodied. So this is the last of our scaling skill cards. It's an innate skill, commits for a fist and a foot. While you control 2 or fewer item assets, Able-Bodied gains fist, foot. While you control 1 or fewer, Able-Bodied gains fist, foot instead. I also think this card is good. It follows the same theory where I'd probably still play Overpower over this, but if I was like in a Survivor deck and I was looking at manual dexterity, I'd probably look at Able-Body. Of course, if you're playing a lot of items, don't, right? Don't. You don't want to be playing able-bodied. But if you're playing like one item, if you're playing 2 items, it's worth it. If you're playing if you're playing 2 items, throw an act of desperation at someone, commit your able-bodied, and deal 2 damage to a boss and get paid back for it. This card is very powerful in the right deck. It's just a really good consistent skill, and 3 foot icons is gonna basically do a ward of protection impression in the Mythos phase if you can get it. It's not hard to only be building with 1 item assets, but still with other assets that take up slots in your deck. And this was probably slight spoilers for Bryn and I's skills only run, but this was probably one of the MVPs. It was probably in the top 3 of the cards that did the most work throughout the campaign. It did help because we only each had like 1 item in our decks, but the card was just really good and really consistent, and it's not hard if you're in the right deck for it. I don't think it's in the fine tier because, I mean, if you're building a deck that's just items, don't play it. Just don't play it. 5 of Pentacles. Speaking of just don't play it, 3 cost, 1 experience, takes up the tarot slot. You get +1 health, +1 sanity. I've only played this a few times and I regretted it at each time. Poor survivors. They're like, I'm here too. They're like, it should increase stats. And they're like, I know what we can do. We got brain, fist, foot, and book. Why don't we give them health and sanity? Bad even in Kelvin? I mean, yeah, actually. Like, you can play it in Kelvin, and I play it in Kelvin, and I wouldn't blink, but I'd rather actually just spend my experience in other places. Would it be good at 2 health and 2 sanity? I think so. I think 2 health, 2 sanity would move the needle a little bit more. But +1 health and +1 sanity doesn't really move the needle. Speaking of not really moving the needle... Ace of Rods. This is a 3 cost, 1 experience tarot. It's neutral. As a lightning bolt during your turn, remove Ace of Rods from the game. You may take an additional action this turn during which you get +2 to each of your skills. When the game begins, if Ace of Rods is in your opening hand, put it into play. So, oh, hey buddy. This is actually, when I first played this card, I thought it gave you an additional action and you got +2 each of your skills during your turn. And I was like, okay, I could see playing that. And I did it, and I took an extra action with the +2, and Travis was like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, oh, hey, Russ. If you're gonna forget, you gotta go. I was like, oh, this card's awful. Card's not good. I wish it was just a story card. I wish it was just a story asset, you know? Because it is given to you by Anna Caslow because Anna Caslow hates you and wants you to die. She's actually not on your side. Holy hell, we're 43 minutes in and we've just finished the core set. So the deluxe box. So we got a lot to go. So why don't we dive in and keep it going? Something worth fighting for. 3 cost asset. It may take horror for other investigators location. 3 horror. I think the card is just fine. I think there's better forms of soak. I think there's more active forms of soak, but I think in the right deck, I'm not going to blink if someone plays it. And I think that's kind of just like where fine lives for me. I think the card's fine. 3 horror is a lot. 3 for 3 is not a great rate, in my opinion. But it is still, like I said, if someone brings this, I'm not going to blink. A lot of Guardians have 5 sanity. Just play Tetsuo Mori. Just play Tetsuo Mori. It lives in the same resource cost, you know? So just play that instead. Crack the Case. 0 cost, fast. This is a seeker event. Play after an investigator discovers the last remaining clue at your location. Investigators of that location gain a total of X resources distributed as you wish, where X is location shroud value. This is probably the number one card that I forget to play. And then I'm like, oh, wait. I meant to do this last turn. I always forget about Crack the Case when I'm playing two-handed. I think the card's great, though. It's fantastic economy. If you get like a 5 shroud location, holy hell. I think this is, once again, a little bit wild for a level 0 card. It's really good economy. Like, I understand you need to, like, get clues to do it. But, like, what are Guardians... Sorry, what are Seekers going to be doing if not getting clues? Pop Fennon, thank you so much for your Twitch Prime subscription. Welcome to the Golden Table. It's a pleasure to have you. It's an absolute pleasure. Yeah, card's great. I don't think it's fantastic. It might be. If someone wants to make an argument that it is, I would be like, yeah, I can definitely see you thinking that. But for me, personally, I think the card's just great. I think that, like, I would run Burning the Midnight Oil over Crack the Case. Mostly because I think that's, like, kind of what I need for my economy. Intel report. Discover one clue. Okay, 2 cost, favor service. It's a rogue card. Discover one clue your location. As a reaction, when you play Intel report, increase its cost by 2. Change discover one clue to discover 2 clues. As a reaction, when you play Intel report, increase its cost by 2. Change at your location to add a location up to 2 connections away. Yeah, I think this card is also great. I think the card is really damn good. We actually talked about this literally on Wednesday. I talked about this 2 days ago for the list video we recorded. But 2 resources for 2 clues is kind of like where you want to live. 2 resources for 1 clue with a hitch is kind of also where you want to live. Going back to Scene of the Crime, as I talked about earlier. But in Rogue, 2 resources isn't enough. 4 resources for 2 clues in Rogue is actually pretty transferable to 2 clues for 2 resources. And with the same kind of hook that Scene of the Crime has. So I think Intel Report's really good for that. I'm always happy when someone plays Intel Report. Tesla's clues is a very powerful thing. And 4 resources is actually not that super hard to come by for the Rogue class. Obviously in Preston it shines really well. It's fantastic in Preston. I'd say it's even like fantastic in Jenny because she has 3s for her stats. But I think the card's great. Sign Magique. So this is a... What the... There we go. This is a 3 cost. Ritual talent from the Mystic class. Takes up the hand slot. Fast. You have 1 additional arcane slot, which can only be used to hold a spell or ritual asset. So the level 3 version of this card is wild. It's very fun to play with, and the upgrade's really good. This is another reason. This is another reason that I would want to like see those return to cards printed again for people, just because just to get them out there. Are there any arcane assets that aren't spells or rituals at all? No, but there might be one day. So it is nice that they have this, right? It's like future proofing. I guess, yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe Enchanted Blade in this own box. Look at that, Enchanted Blade. Look at that. We answered our own question. Yeah, the upgraded one is the one that you're like, this is here to do that. I mean, a lot of Mystics, they don't necessarily need to use their hand slots. Like, they're just like, I guess I'll hold these ritual candles or this magic cane just to fill my hand slots. But to me, the sticking point for this one is that, like, three resources is a pretty chunky cost in the Mystic class, right? Seems we're just playing just around that one though. But I mean, like, there might be more in the future, right? Like, it's better to future proof, right? It's better to future proof than it is to not. If they just said you had 1 additional, which can only to 1 additional arcane slot. Now suddenly in the future they could be building a card. I mean, like, wait a minute, we released it and now, like, with sign magic, it's just like too good, right? I'm always happier to see designers future-proof than they are to just broadly make a card, you know, just if this was just additional arcane slot, I mean, I don't think there's a problem with what we have currently, but who knows what 8 years from now would do, right? I think, though, this version is kind of just fine. All this talk, I don't think... it's just a bit too expensive to me. If I'm looking for additional arcane slots and I'm a clue getter, maybe. The upgraded version's really good, though. You're about future-proofing, but I'm struggling to think of what problems it would prevent. But that's the thing about future-proofing. You don't know, you don't necessarily always know what problems it may prevent, but it's better to future-proof than it is to not future-proof, right? You don't know, but maybe one day it could be a problem. And you're like, man, I wish I did that on sign magic. And the community's laughing at you, being like, these designers can't do anything. And you're like, well, you know, we'll put this on here just in case, right? Oh, okay. Banish. Oh, no. I don't know what this card does, so it probably means it's not that great. 2 cost, 1 experience, evade. Use only on a non-elite enemy. This evasion attempt uses brain instead of foot. If you succeed, move that enemy just evade it to any location in play. If you succeed and a skull, cultist, tablet, or squid was revealed during this evasion attempt, that enemy does not ready during the next upkeep phase. It's fine? It's fine? I don't think it's bad. Spells are good. In the right deck, it's going to be better. Moving enemies around is really good, right? The moving enemy as is really nice. Just saying hello. Like, just saying, like, hello to an enemy and then goodbye to an enemy, so you have to say hello to the enemy again in the future. I rocked Undimension and Unseen with this. I believe it. Yeah, I think the card's fine. I don't think it's... I mean, like, is it good? Is it good? This is just Cyclopean Hammer, but better? That's not hard, though. A lot of things are better than Cyclopean Hammer. Is it good? I think it's just fine. I don't think a card that I don't know what it does just by looking at it. I don't think it can be good. At this point in my Arkham career, if I don't know the card, I don't know, man. I think the effect is nice. 2 cost, 1 experience. You might freeze the enemy. Was this one tabooed to just be a symbol token, or was that some of the other stuff? There was one card that was tabooed, but it was only the level 0 version, right? Alright, so now this one just reads symbol. Okay. Incredibly cruddy card. Yeah, I think I'm still just going to leave it in fine, though. I think it's good with the taboo. I think it's fine otherwise. Meat Cleaver. 3 cost, item, weapon, melee asset. As an action, fight. It takes up a hand slot, of course. You get +1 fist for this attack, +2 fist instead if you have 3 or fewer remaining sanity. If this attack defeats an enemy, you may heal 1 horror. As a cost initiative attack, you may take 1 horror to have this attack deal +1 damage. I think it's a good weapon. It's a little bit memey in certain builds, but I also think it's also like not. I think the problem with Meat Cleaver, I mean, that certainly other better weapons exist, like certainly, but I mean, I'd be curious to try a Silas deck with Pete Sylvester where I just try to play Meat Cleaver legitimately. Because he actually doesn't care too much about the +2 if you have 3 or fewer sanity. Like, I'd be willing to give it a shot. I think it'd be fun to do, and I think the card could shine more than I've seen it shine because, I mean, Bryn plays it in Will York all the time. And it's like really good there. Yeah, I don't think the card's like bad though, and I think it's above fine, so I'm gonna put it in good. I am curious to try it in this Silas deck. Desperate Meatcleaver Silas? No, probably just regular Silas. Just use it as one of my weapon options at level 0. Maybe never upgrade out of it. Maybe. Problem is, Silas already has a really good... Silas already has like a really good weapon in his Harpoon. That weapon's very good. Okay, we're on to the multi-class cards. We have 5 of them. 45 Thompson. No love for Book Silas. I already talked about Book Silas. I think it's a fun idea. I think though you're just building bad Silas though. I'd try it, but I don't think it's great. Level 0, 6 cost, Guardian Rogue, item, weapon, firearm, Alyssa takes up 2 hand slots, 5 ammo. As an action, spend 1 ammo to fight. You get +2 fist and deal +1 damage for this attack. I think this weapon's good. I think it's a good level 0 weapon. I think it really brings the noise for level 0. It is expensive. It is expensive. 6 cost is not nothing to, like, ignore, you know? But it is just, like, my weapon of choice a lot of times in a lot of Guardian decks, you know? It's 5 ammo's a lot, +2 fist is a lot. You're gonna hit. It's a good card. It does take up both hand slots, admittedly, but I think it's worth it for a level 0 gun. I think it's really good. Scroll of Secrets. Okay, so, elephant in the room. This card is kind of unplayable without the taboo list. I think everyone now kind of just agrees that Scroll of Secrets is printed with its taboo. I think we can all kind of, just agree and clap and talk about Scroll of Secrets and say, congratulations, you have been errata, just like how Rex Murphy has been errated, right? So, if this card is as printed, I regret playing this. But I don't think I'm going to talk about it with that in mind, because the card is... It's crazy that this was printed in the same cycle as Mr. Rook. Dude's insane. Is he? Yeah, he's right over here. He's coming up soon. Now with the taboo list, I think that this card actually is good. I think the other ones, when we get to the other ones, are going to be nicer. Just 1 cost. Potentially draw 3, potentially discard some weaknesses, is really nice. It's a good card. Once again, though, is as printed, it's down in the I regret playing this. But so many people now, when they talk about Scroll of Secrets, it's like, you should be playing it this way because it's kind of been errated that way. Okay. Tennessee Sour Mash. 3 costs, 2 supplies. The Lightning Bolt exhausts Tennessee Sour Mash and spend 1 supply. You get +2 brain for this skill test on a treachery card. As an action, discard Tennessee Sour Mash, fight. You get +3 fist for this attack. So, my issue with Tennessee Sour Mash is just that I find it hard with my play style to find the time to play it, you know? Because for me, when I play, my most important thing is progressing the game, right? Like, every action I want to do as much as possible, I want to progress the game. So, I think Tennessee Sour Mash falters because of that. Like, I have a hard time, like, playing the Tennessee Sour Mash. The time to play it is York's reaction ability. I don't think York needs Tennessee Sour Mash. I think playing this in York is actually probably a mistake. But for, like, 2 guts for 3 resources and action, and then a fight action out of it. I think that, like, I'm going to be putting it in the fine tier, but I do think that the upgrades are notably an improvement over the card. But I think I'm going to put the level 0 version in fine for me personally. Enchanted Blade. This is it's a melee weapon that's actually a gun. So 3 cost item relic weapon melee takes up the Mystic and Guardian. It is the Mystic and Guardian class and takes up the hand and the arcane slot. 3 charges as an action fight. You get +1 fist for this attack. As additional cost to initiate this ability, you may spend 1 charge to empower the blade. If you do, you get +1 fist and deal +1 damage for this attack. I think this is also just a good weapon for level 0. It's like +2 is really nice. A weapon that you can use indefinitely is also really nice when you use the melee mode. We think that it's a very well designed weapon. As well, it's really nice for that. Yeah. I don't think the card, for me personally, is great. I think the upgrades are where we start getting into the great tier. It's just a good weapon that's going to do its job and kill some enemies in the process. Grizzly Totem. 3 cost item charm from the Seeker and Survivor class. Takes up the accessory slot. And after you commit a card to a skill test, exhaust Grizzly Totem. That card gains another instance of one of its skill icons of your choice. I always forget how bad this card is until I'm wanting to play the level 3 versions. And I can't. It's not worth it. I think this card needed to be different. Right? I think this card just needed to be different. It needed something else to it. It needed to have a better cost. It needed to, I don't know, just at level 0. Why is it a foot symbol? Because it has feathers on it, so it makes you go fast. I don't know, man. I think just Grizzly Totem, the effect is just not worth it. Most skill icons, I guess the idea is that it's giving you +1 to a stat that you need each turn. But it's not actually, because you need the skill cards to make it work, and it's just not worth it for 3. It's not worth it for 3. So I'm going to be putting it there. It's in the I regret playing this tier. Alice Luxley. 4 cost, ally asset. You get +1 book. After you discover a clue, exhaust Alex Luxley, deal 1 damage to an enemy or location. Soaks for 2 and 2. Where are we going to put her? She's certainly, good to great. I'm just trying to think of where I'm going to put her. She's very fun to play with Roland Banks, with Joe Diamond. I mean, with a lot of people who can flex. I think good is where I'm also feeling Astute Dunsparce. I think that I'm always impressed by Alice, but not enough for me to be wow, Alice is great. She's Alice is doing really good here. She's killing it. Yeah, she's good in Vincent. She has some great homes where I think she's notably better. But I think as a whole, I'm going to be putting her in the good tier. Use her with Rex. Using her with Rex? I think I'd still just play Dr. Milan. You do get 1 more damage soak, but you also lose one of your precious 5 splash cards. And I think Alex Luxley is beaten by a lot of those. Any Gators should be good to versatile into? I don't think so. I think the problem is that, once again, Dr. Milan is just so damn good. Yes, Grizzly Totem does exhaust. Versatile into Trish. I like Alice and Carolyn. Yeah, Alice and Carolyn's really nice. Flex Skids. Yeah. That's That's something. Evade, then lockpicks. Evade, then lockpicks. 2 actions to not solve a problem. I don't know. I'm not sold on that one. I think Alice is good. Alice is good, though. I think she shines in a lot of places, but I think overall the card's just going to be good. All right. Well-maintained. Hey, it's in this cycle. I was like, which one is... I thought well-maintained was in Forgotten Age, but it's actually in here, which works really well with Active Desperation. So, 0-cost event. Fast play during your turn. Attached to an item asset you control, limit 1 per asset. After attached asset is discarded, return it to its owner's hand, along with each other upgrade attachment that was attached to it. Nice. I'm going to just put this card in good, though. The card's good. I don't think it's great. I think it's above fine. I think you're going to know when you want to play it, and it's going to do really good in those decks. Let's move on. Actually, before we move on, we have to just reference the Mark I grenades being well maintained. Really good. Travis will never forget that. He loved that so much. Okay. Mr. Rook, 3-cost, 2/2 ally. He uses 3 secrets, and as a lightning bolt, exhaust him and spend 1 secret. Search the top 3, 6, or 9 cards from your deck for any card and draw it. If at least 1 weakness is among the search cards, draw 1 of them as well. Shuffle your deck. All right, so the taboo list. I haven't seen people playing with the taboo list. The action really kind of slows the man down a little bit. So while the Scroll of Secrets is like been errated, like I said, at the start of this one, there was going to be some kind of like changes for how I would approach the cards if they were tabooed or not. And I think Scroll of Secrets is going to be the exception to that. And like Interrogate was done as printed. Scroll of Secrets is, I think, the only one that we're going to like talk about and treat as if it was tabooed. I'm going to grab my good friend Mr. Rook and we're going to put him up in Busted. Card's insane. The downside is actually an upside. Drawing your weaknesses when you want is like one of the best things you can do in this game. A lightning bolt to search 9 and draw a card is wild. As the extra action, I think the card's still good, but he like drops a lot. Yeah, dude's insane. Strongest ally in the game? Probably as printed. Probably as printed, right? Guy's wild. I got to experience him for the first time with Eric and I running through Carcosa with the Harvey Walters deck, and it was wild. Searching for those hungry blade bloodlusts on your own time. Travis did that, and it was, he said, still very janky, but he had a fun time with it. Mr. Rook's insane. Rook with Mandy is just disgusting. Yeah. I mean, even when I played it incorrectly with Harvey Walters, and then I switched it correctly, it's because like that's how good Mr. Rook with Mandy is. I thought that's just how it worked with Harvey. But I mean, even just like grabbing a card and then getting another card after with Harvey is also really good. Wild. Hawkeye Folding Camera. This is a 2-cost item tool asset, takes up the hand slot. After the last clue is discovered from your location, place a resource in the token pool on this card as evidence. Limit 1 per game at each location. While Hawkeye Folding Camera has 1 or more evidence, you get +1 brain. While it has 2 or more evidence, you get +1 book. While it has 3 or more evidence, you get +1 sanity. I mean, I think the card is good. I think the card's good. I think the card is really awkward, though. Like, if you don't get it in your opening hand or within, like, the first 3 turns, like, it kind of sucks, you know? If you get it in your opening hand, though, like, you're off to the races. I like it. I like that it works with Daryl as well. It's a camera, so it should. I think Hawkeye should be looked at with the abundance of the Brain Book Mystics. I mean, yeah, I mostly play this card in, like, Norman Withers and Marie Lambeau, right? Like, that's where it's just, like, really nice. It's costed pretty fairly. It just requires some work, and it's really dependent on the draw. You know? It's really good, though. I really like Hawkeye Folding Camera. It's really good in 2-player when like all the locations have like 2 clues on them and you can just like get your pictures and get up and running really quickly. And the sanity is also nice. You're not going to say no to that. Eat it, Tarot. Really, this card is just the Death 13, 4 of Cups, and half of the 5 of Pentacles put together. Good card. Henry won! Give it up for Henry. Give it up for Henry. We love Henry. 3 cost ally in the Rogue class. Soaks for 1 and 2. As an action, you can exhaust Henry Wan one at a time, reveal random tokens of the Chaos Bag until you choose to stop, or until you reveal a skull, cultist, tablet, squid, or autofail symbol. If you chose to stop for each token revealed via this effect, you may either draw a card or gain a resource. If you revealed nothing, one of the symbols, do nothing. You just, you're gambling. I think I'm going to put Henry in the I regret playing this. We've had some nice memes with him lately, and like where he was super impressive, but I do think better with Curse Bless. It's true. Like, I think like if you do all the building around him, he becomes like a fun card to play. He's very fun. He's very fun, but in terms of how I rank cards, right, when I rank cards, I want it to work 100% of the time, and that is not the case with Henry. And the further, it's just like gambling in real life. The further you get in, the more likely you are to push it, and you gotta hold sometimes. He's not, yeah, like 21 or bust is like a fun Henry Wan. And a playable Henry Wan even. Yeah, I mean, I liked it when Travis played him. I played him in a standalone once, and I had a good time. But I played him in a campaign recently, and he, like, I got the symbol on the first one, and I'm like, why am I spending an action doing this? And I actually regretted it, so that's why we have the I regret this tier for that one, because I fucking regretted it. Hey, it's Skidzo Tool. 2-cost event. Double foot, fast, play during any investigator's turn except during an action. Immediately take an action as if it was your turn. This action does not count toward the number of actions you can take each turn. I guess here's the ultimate question, right? Here's the ultimate question. Is 2 resources worth an action? Because I'll be honest, I don't think it is. Like, yeah, it can depend entirely on what that action is doing. It's really 1 resource, but you can get 1 for an action. It's worth it when you, like, really need it. Yeah, I mean, like, I think Skids' problem now in current Arkham, like, I think, like, back in the day, 2 resources for an action seemed pretty reasonable. But, like, Skids' like, printed ability, most of the time I've seen people play Skids, they never use it. And that might be a mistake, because you want to use your Investigator's ability if you can. I haven't played paper Skids, or sorry, regular Skids in a long time. I think it was like 20, oh, it was last year when I had to do the thing. I think I'm gonna, Thieves Kid 3 made Skids ability good now. That is, I mean, Thieves Kid 3 is a very nice card. And yeah, that's a nice big boost. I think I'm gonna put, I don't even think this card's fine. I think I'm gonna put this card down here. I mean, it has 2 foot icons. But I think I'm gonna make a stand. Boom! I'm putting my fist down. I don't think this card is worth it in current Arkham. I don't think Swift Reflex. To me, Swift Reflex is in my deck to get turned into a haste. Yeah, I'm gonna put this down here. I feel confident in that. I don't think the card is worth it in current Arkham. It's not worth a card. Wither? Wither or not? Okay, 2 cost, takes up the spell slot. Fight. This attack uses brain instead of fist. If a skull, cultist, tablet, or squid is revealed during this attack, the attacked enemy gets -1 fight and -1 evade for the remainder of the turn. Oh, man. We just got to take a quick stop and also look at Sixth Sense while we're here. Because it really just puts it in comparison. Sixth Sense, 3 cost. Investigate using brain instead of book. If a skull, cultist, tablet, or squid is revealed during this test, you may choose a revealed location, connect your location. You're now investigating as if you were at the chosen location instead of your location. You may use either shroud value. So, these are both basic actions, in theory, right? Like, this is a basic fight action with an upside. This is a basic investigate action with upside. They neither require charges, which is a very important thing within the Mystic class, right? You don't want to have to be spending charges, and because like missing on those charges is good, like especially for fighting, right? Like it really sucks to miss with one of your charges on a fight action. So the ability to fight without using charges in the Mystic class is really juicy, right? But a basic fight action and a basic evade action, a basic fight action and a basic investigate action are actually not equal actions, right? They're not. How often are you looking at fighting, basic fighting an enemy, and the answer to that is you're usually basic fighting a rat, right? How often are you doing a basic investigate action? Well, we call it BVS, Book vs. Shroud, for a reason. And this card, like, I'm fine that Sixth Sense actually doesn't get more clues, because the idea is just that it's a basic investigate action. It allows mystics to do basic investigate actions endlessly. This, however, allows mystics to do basic fight actions endlessly, but is that good enough? I think we can all kind of just generally agree Wither doesn't do enough. I think it's appropriately costed. I think 2 is very fair. But I think the -1 fight and -1 evade for the remainder of the turn is not good. I think Wither would see more play if it was for the remainder of the round. I still don't think it would be... I don't think that it would be particularly wild, but I think it would make it feel less bad to play. Because now, like, you get... On your last action of the turn, you use Wither. On your last action of the turn... Oh, yeah, phase would be better. Phase, yeah, no, it should have been phase. I said round, but I meant phase. Last action of your turn, you get a skull on Sixth Sense versus Wither. Sixth Sense, you're like, oh, shit, cool. I'm going to use the other location with 5 Shroud, but I'm going to use my 2 Shroud, and I'm going to get a clue from it as the victory location. That's really great. With this one, you get it as your last action, and you're like, oh, good, I dealt a damage to this enemy, but it's still alive, and its fist is still 4, so my other players can't help me fight it. It's a really big difference between the 2 cards. So that's why I'm going to put Wither in the I Regret Playing this tier. And I'm going to put the Sixth Sense in... I think it's just good. I don't think it's great. I have tried to make Wither work a lot really well. I would play a permanent Wither. I mean, I would also play a permanent Wither, because just being able to attack endlessly when you're brain when you want to, when it doesn't cost you 2 resources or a card, is really nice. Or an action to get it out there. But I don't think upgraded Sixth Sense is like... So level 0 Sixth Sense is great. I think the card's just good. It doesn't expedite the clue getting process. It just allows you to do BVS, which is Brain vs. Shroud. I think the theory behind Wither is a really good one. But I think the problem with Wither is that it doesn't do enough to make it worth it. Okay, we have to talk about the symbols, right? This one wouldn't trigger twice. You would just get to choose 2, but you would still be only investigating your you still only get 1 clue. You don't grab an additional one with Sixth Sense. What if Wither was enemy gets -1 health until the end of the turn? No, you gotta pay experience for that, which we will get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. Alright, Drawing Thin. 0 cost talent. When you initiate a skill test, exhaust Drawing Thin, increase the difficulties test by 2, gain 2 resources, or draw 1 card. Like Mr. Rook, this card has been tabooed because its printed version is absolutely insane. Busted. Yeah, busted. Card's wild. This shipping, I think this is one of the... It's not the quickest taboo, but it's up there. I think only like the Necronomicon was a quicker taboo, right? Drawing Thin was also incredibly quick. Card's wild. Yeah, so Double or Nothing and this is, I think. Well, Double or Nothing, like, when was the first taboo? I think Double or Nothing lasted a while, right? Because the first taboo didn't come out right away. The first when was the first taboo? Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, we can just go to the power of YouTube. I have a whole history. I can just search taboo on in my videos, and I'll find out. The power of making Arkham content for, like, what is it? Fucking came out, what, 2017? 7 years? So the first taboo was April 25th, 2019. So it was 2 years. And yes, as Chris is my middle name is saying in chat, it works very well with track shoes when you have an actionless, well, it's not actionless, but like you just move and you want to be doing that anyway. Card's wild. Card's insane. All right. Belly of the Beast. This is a 1-cost gambit trick. It's an event. Fast. Play after you successfully evade an enemy by 2 or more. Discover clue at the enemy's location. Card's fine. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's bad. It's just fine. I play it in Rita, and that's about it. But when you want to be doing this, it does it. Yeah, succeed by 2 or more in survivors. Well, that's why it's actually this actually should be a green trick. Right, it should, shouldn't it? It shouldn't it? It should. When you say it like that, this should just be a green trick. Give it Rogue. Keep Trick on it. Rita can still play it. This card would see so much more play. Okay. Hear me out. All right? People have always asked us to make videos about cross-class upgrades. Level 2 Belly of the Beast. It turns into a rogue card. After you successfully evade an enemy by 2 or more, discover clue of the enemy's location. If you succeed by 3 or 4 or more, like one of the 2, put it back into your hand at the end of the round. Let's go! That'd be a fun card. It might have been Rogue, but moved because the Rogue is Preston. That is actually a good call. I want to see that, though. That would be a fun version of this card. Okay. The 45 Thompson level 3. So now we're going to see the upgrades of the multi-class cards. 5 ammo. Ammo spent from 45 Thompson is placed in your resource pool as resources. Spend 1 ammo. Fight, you get +2 fists and deal +1 damage with this attack. I think... I think I'm going to put this in Fantastic. To me, This is one of the best weapons in the game. It feels so damn good to play with this card. You know? You just get the money back. It pays itself back. You throw it at someone with an act of desperation. You get even more money. You play your other 45 Thompson. Card is really good. It's, I think, the best firearm in the game. And I'm pretty sure Bryn and I also gave it the best when we ranked all the firearms for Guardian cards. Because it's damn good. I think people just skip level 3 weapons and go straight to 5. I agree that that probably happens. Probably more than it should. Because there's a really good one sitting at 3. With that new custom ammunition, or custom modifications, whatever it is, yeah, custom modifications from Scarlet Keys, 45 Thompson is really juicy. Extra ammo stuff. It's a cool card. I think it's fantastic. I think it's really damn good. Then we got the Rogue one. Look, we can see the art differences now. More guns. Oh, modified handle. Let's go. Look at that. Okay. The Rogue 45 Thompson. 5 cost, 3 experience. Uses 5 ammo. Spend 1 ammo. Fight. You get +2 fist and deal +1 damage to this attack. If you succeed by at least X, you may spend 1 ammo to deal this attack's damage to another enemy or location where X is that enemy's fight value. So, Rogue, this is interesting, right? Because Rogues are really good at filling weapons, the ammo back up. You know, you have swift reload to just, like, get back up to 5, no problem. But, I mean, I guess also a part of this as well is that I mean, like, the Rogues, the +2 is not great for Rogues. Because, yeah, Holy Helicopter, you're right. It asks you to succeed by a lot. Because even if you're like, oh, just shoot the bigger enemy, so then you can hit the smaller one. But the test value actually stays the same then, right? So if you have, like, a 4-attack enemy and a 2-attack enemy, and your plan is to kill both of them, if you hit the 4-attack enemy, you have to succeed by 2. If you hit the 2-attack enemy, you have to succeed by 4. So it's actually, like, kind of the same each time. It's just the values are different. And, like, if you have 6, you're up by 2 or you're up by 4. And you need to hit a -2. Huh. It actually is kind of the same. I don't think the card's bad. Because the baseline, it's still just +2. But I mean, it's like, compare that to the level 0. What the heck? Okay. Yeah, and I also agree that having to spend 1 ammo to deal the attack also doesn't feel great. Like, in theory, Rogues fill it up, you know? I think I'm actually going to put this in just fine. I don't think the 3 experience is worth it. Just play this. You're basically just paying 3 experience for this. For 1 reduced cost. You're basically just like a Leo DeLuca in it. I think I'm going to put it there. That's what my gut's telling me. I think the card's just fine. Oh, okay. Level 3, Scroll of Secrets, 1 cost, exhausted and spend a secret. So this is a lightning bolt again. This is kind of errata, 3 experience, because otherwise it would not be good. Look at the bottom of the cards, the Investigator's deck or the Encounter deck. You may discard one of those cards. You may add one of those cards to its owner's hand. Place the rest of those cards either top or bottom. This card is absolutely, come with me. We're going right up to the top. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It's insane, the value that this card can put out. and it makes it so it's like easier for you to cycle your way through your deck as well. So you're more likely to discard it and then just like do it again and again and again and again. Again, this is with the taboo in mind, and these are the only cards that I'm going to be looking at with the taboo list, because as far as I'm concerned, they should just fucking errata them to be tabooed. That reads more as errata than it actually does tabooing the card, in my humble opinion. Now the Mystic one, oh, look at the difference. Look at that. No seal, but it's magical. Wow. I like being able to see them side by side. You can see the differences a lot better. Scroll of Secrets. 4 secrets, exhaust Scroll of Secrets, and spend 1 secret. Look at the top or bottom card of any investigator's deck or the encounter deck. Then either discard that card, add it to its owner's hand, and place it on the bottom of its deck, or place it on top of its deck. So I'm actually going to once again put this one down in the fine tier. Just because I think most of the time in Mystics, you're happy with the level 1 version. And yes, down the rabbit hole certainly makes it easier, but it's by no means a priority upgrade. Still only looking at 1 card is not worth it to just add the encounter deck to it. Like, yes, there's some encounter deck control, but Mystic already has so much like encounter deck manipulation, they don't really care too much about that part of it. So that's why I'm going to give this card a fine. Tennessee Sour Mash. 3 cost, 3 experience. Fast, uses 2 supplies. Exhaust Tennessee Sour Mash and spend 1 supply. You get +3 brain for a skill value on a treachery card, and you can discard Tennessee Sour Mash, fight. You get +3 fist and deal +1 damage for this attack. Card's kind of... It's a nice upgrade. I think it's good. I think both of these are going to live in the good tier. Just spoiler alert for both of the... Tennessee Sour Mash and the Rogue and the Survivor one. The 3 brain is really good. The fast is really good. Still has the same number of supplies. The +3 fist and deal +1 damage is really good. So we're going to be putting it in the good. I don't think it's in the great tier for me personally, but I do think the card is good. Another card no one can play. Yeah, it's certainly strange that no one could play it in the cycle. It doesn't bother me as much because like Skids O'Toole can play it. What bothers me more is stuff like Clean Sneak. That stuff bothers me more. People in their cycle not being able to play it doesn't really concern me too much. Because like Skids always exists. It's more so the fact when things like Clean Sneak happens, where like this card is perfect for 2 investigators and they can't play it just because of reasons. That bothers me more than people in the box, you know? Because, yeah, it feels like a personal offense. It does. But this is a really nice upgrade. I think I'm going to put it in the good tier. Look at that. A little shot glass, but more in it. Oh, looks like, does the label change too, or is that just the outside? I don't know. All right, Tennessee Sour Mash. This is survival version, level 3, but it costs 2. It's not fast. But you can exhaust it and spend a supply. You get +2 brain for a skill test on the treachery card. As an action, you can discard Tennessee Sour Mash fast. You get +3 fist for this attack. If this attack succeeds against a non-elite enemy, automatically evade it. It is a bit annoying that it is a test and you can evade a non-elite enemy. That is kind of stupid for a 3 experience card. I think survivors need this less than the other one. But having a stunning blow on the card is not terrible. And also they're in survivors. Worried about Rita playing this? Wendy can play this. She's even younger. It's close to fine, but I still think the card is good. I don't think it's down here with these ones, but I think it is just a good upgrade. Ooh, now we're talking. All right, we got Enchanted Blade. So this is a 3 cost, 3 experience. Item, relic, weapon, melee. Uses 3 charges. Still takes up the hand in the arcane slot. As an action, fight! You get +2 fist for this attack. If you succeed, you may spend 1 charge to empower the blade, dealing +1 damage for this attack. If the blade is empowered and this attack defeats an enemy, draw 1 card and heal 1 horror. This card does a lot. If it's empowered, it heals horror and draws a card. That's really nice for Guardians. You don't need to spend the charge unless you hit. That's really good. That's really good, so you never waste a charge on this. The reason why, like, Brandic Thugga is really nice as a weapon for fighting with as a charge, because you don't have to spend your ammo until you know that you hit. I'm throwing this puppy into... Dude, I think it's fantastic as well. I think this is another fantastic card. It's very good. Because, like, once it's out of the charges, yeah, it's just +2 damage. I think the card's fantastic. I think it is. I think it's a really, really good upgrade. I think it's better than great. I think it's one of the best weapons in the game. I think it's one of the best weapons in the game. So I'm throwing it up here. And I'm happy to do it. Wow. So the Enchanted Blade in the Guardian one enchants you, but the Blade is enchanted in the Mystic one. Wild. Okay. Mystic, 3 cost, 3 experience, 4 charges. Fight, you get +2 fist for this attack. As additional cost to use this ability, you may spend up to 2 charges to empower the blade. For each charge spent in this way, you get +1 fist and deal +1 damage for this attack. So I don't think the card's bad. But I think the problem with Enchanted Blade is actually something I was just talking about with the new Hemlock Vale Investigator, Kohaku. Which is that there are no 4-fist mystics. So because of that, I think this card would be a bit more exciting if it gave +2 fist and dealt +1 damage for the attack. I think we would actually see it a bit more because of that. You know? Because I do think that spending 2 charges to go to 6 feels worse, obviously, than spending 2 charges to go to 7, which is where most mystics are going to go with it. Obviously, this card is kind of fun with Akachi, right, to get that going. So, like, that's kind of like where this card's living, that nobody can really play at war. What if it gave no more but used head instead? I actually wouldn't be interested in that. I think they already have, like, in that case, you might as well just use a spell slot. I like that it uses fist to have, like, a reason to play it. But I think the problem is that there's no 4-fist mystic that could really make this shine. So if it was +2 and +2, but still only just +1 damage, I think you would see this in more mystics. I think I'm going to put this in the good tier because I don't think it's necessarily bad, though. It's just a good... It's still a nice weapon. And if someone whipped this out as Dexter, I wouldn't blink. I'd be like, you go, Dexter, with the magic sword. You love to see it. Because if you spend 3 charges, you're left with 1 charge left, and you're like, what the hell am I doing? I'm refilling my Enchanted Blade? I don't think it's fine, though. I think it is still just a good weapon. I think it is noticeably more Mystic playable than this one is. So if you're playing this in your... sorry, you can't see it. But if you're playing the level 1 version, level 0 version, you're going to be playing the upgraded version one day. It's a good upgrade. Okay, now the Grizzly Totem is going to get a massive glow up. So 3 cost, 3 experience, the Seeker version, item Charmed Cursed. Takes up the accessory slot. After you commit a card to a skill test, exhaust Grizzly Totem. That card gains another instance of one of its skill icons of your choice. If that skill test is successful, the Performing Investigator draws 1 card. It's a nice upgrade. Is it great? Or is it just good? I mean, turning all your skills into a perception... I mean, I think the effect is very powerful. What else do we got in great? What else do we got in good? Let's look at the Survivor one too while we're here, and also note the differences. Black or white feathers. That just seems wrong. Oh, the eye changes color too. Red, blue eye, red eye, blue eye. Okay, 2 cost, 3 experience. Activate a card to a skill test, exhaust Grizzly Totem. That card gains another instance of one of its skill icons of your choice. If that skill test fails, return that card to your hand. So, as part of my play all card challenge this year, I built a Silas deck that used Try and Try Again to basically just loop what is it? Oh my god, look what I've done to this. Basically just loop the what is it? Signum Crucis and Take Heart. And it was a good time. I actually had a fun time with it. So I think more pieces to that puzzle here. Let's see if I can actually, if there was any other pieces in the deck, because I wrote it down to talk about. No, it's just that. But it was really fun. I think like being able to return skill cards when you fail and you get benefits from them is a really nice effect. Obviously, Stella with Take Heart does a lot with this. I think though overall, I'm going to just give this a good effect. And I think I'm going to put the Seeker one up in grade. Because I do think drawing cards is better than returning a skill card to your hand. It's a cool card. Kohaku can play these. That sounds... Ooh. Kohaku? Astronomical Atlas? Right, because Kohaku can do Curse, Bless Curse 0-5, right? Amina Zidane Astronomical Atlas with Grizzly Totem? I'm interested. Alright. The Council's Coffer. 0 cost, 2 experience, item relic. It's an asset. Uses player locks. If there are no locks in the Council's Coffer, each investigator searches his or her deck or discard pile for any card and immediately plays it at no cost. Exile the Council's Coffer max once per campaign. As a double action, test any skill 5. If you succeed, remove 1 lock. Any investigator at your location may activate this ability. So you too, for 7 actions, can have everyone search their card for a deck. We have played this card twice, and Travis jury rigging the coffer was admittedly super damn funny. But we kind of just, every time was for like the memes, the memes, you know? So I think I'm going to put Council's Coffer in the I regret playing this. 7 actions? Just run card draw or card selection. Or just like make all your cards good so you don't need to spend 7 actions and 3 skill 5 tests to get them. Just some 2 cents here. All right, how are we doing? Okay, we're close. We have 3 rows left. So I think we have 3 cycles left, 3 packs left. Okay. All right. Warning Shot. 2 cost. It's a tactic trick event in the Guardian class. Additional cost to play Warning Shot. Spend 1 ammo from a firearm asset you control. Move all non-elite enemies at your location to a connected location. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. So this card's not great, right? And I think a big reason for that is that it costs 2. You have to spend an ammo from your gun. You need to have a gun. And most enemies have Hunter. Most enemies in this game have Hunter now, right? I love the idea of Zoe shooting a gun so the enemies go away, and then the enemies come back and they just pay back the cost of the Warning Shot. That's so bad. Yeah, I think I'm just going to live in the I regret playing this tier. Card's not good. Card's Not good. I'm trying to think, because I have played this card already this year, but I don't remember where I played it. So I probably just played it just to play it. So that's not a good sign. I've made a lot of discoveries in this Play All Card Challenge. It's in this Play All Card Challenge, and this being one of them is not one of them. It's not. It's just not. Yeah, it is set up for the next card, Telescopic Sight. That's true. So 3 cost, 3 experience. It's an item upgrade event. Fast. Attached to a firearm asset you control that takes up 2 hand slots. Attached asset cannot be used to attack enemies engaged with you. Reaction. When you perform a fight action using an attached asset, if you're engaged with no enemies, exhaust Telescopic Sight. This attack can target a non-elite enemy at a connected location. Ignore the aloof and retaliate keyword for this attack. So, you two can spend 3 resources and 3 experience to put this on your weapon. And then, on this weapon that you've built around with Telescopic Sight, you too can spend one of those weapons. So one of the ammos from that weapon that you've already put a 3 cost card on to fire it up in the air, causing all the enemies to flee. And then you too can shoot one of those enemies as opposed to just shooting the enemy. It actually makes it worse. It actually makes it worse. I understand the flavor. The flavor's really like fun for these cards, but the function is not there. And it was always that time when Bryn was playing, I'll never forget, Bryn was playing Leo Anderson, turned into a tree, and his whole thing was this Telescopic Sight build, and Travis was just not happy. Travis was just not happy. Has this one been tabooed? Because if it has, I think it has, right? So we can at least... I haven't even searched this card. So it loses the text, attached asset cannot be used to attack enemies engaged with you. That's a good taboo. I think I regret playing this without the taboo, and I think the card is up and fine with the taboo. Again, you might be like, but why are you talking about Scroll of Secrets with the taboo? Scroll of Secrets is different, okay? The combo just needs more gun upgrades. Amen. We just need to put more on that gun and then it'll get working. All right. Remember that talk we were having earlier, Chad, about future-proofing? This card really missed the mark on that, didn't it? They got the sign magic. They got that little safety net on sign magic here, but they really weren't thinking about the future with knowledge is power. But that's just kind of the Seeker way, isn't it? You know? Seekers just get good cards. Not as much anymore. They just get cards now. They're like everyone else. Okay. Knowledge is power. 0 cost insight. Fast play only during your turn. Choose a tome or spell asset you control, or reveal a tome or spell asset in your hand. Resolve an action or lightning bolt ability on that asset, ignoring all costs, including its action cost, if any. Then if that asset was in your hand, you may discard it to draw 1. Yeah, I think this card, we can all just kind of agree is busted. I think we can just all agree on that. This card has broken so many cards. It was tabooed and it was still just killing it. It's now been errataed to not remove additional costs, correct? That's what the errata is now for it. Card's wild. Card's wild. I haven't done any of the busted things with it, but I just know that it's busted. You just know. You just know. Esoteric Atlas, the level 1 version. It costs 2 XP for the taboo and has been errated, right? That's how much they had to do to take Knowledge's power down. So, Esoteric Atlas, 3 cost 1 experience. Item Tome uses 4 secrets as holds up your hand slot. As an action, spend 1 secret and exhaust Esoteric Atlas. Choose and reveal the location. Choose a reveal location that is exactly 2 connections away. Move to that location. So I think that the level 3 Esoteric Atlas is actually pretty alright. I think the level 1 version is very limiting. I think it's very limiting. 2 connections, it's nice. But no one's gonna, like, want to play a card that you have to move 2, right? Like, sometimes people want to just, you know... Like, I understand you don't want to, like, you know, go there. All the tomes at this point were ruined by Daisy Math. Oh, I agree with that completely. Yeah, like with Daisy, it's basically just like a shortcut where you move, but a lot of the times you don't want to move too. I really like the level 3 version. I really like that one. It also says revealed. Yeah, it does say revealed, doesn't it? Oh my god, we have a bad string of cards coming. I don't even think this card's fine. I think this card is also in the I regret playing this tier. I think so. I don't think this is worth the hand slot, the resource cost, the actions, or the experience. So I'm going to put it down here. I also still have to play this one this year, so guess I'm building a Daisy deck. All right, investments. 1 cost asset, its connection uses 0 supplies, limit 10 supplies on investments. As a lightning bolt, exhaust investments and place 1 supply on it. As an action, exhaust and discard investments, move all supplies from it to your resource pool as resources. I'm going to give investments a little bit of credit, okay? I'm going to give investments a tiny bit of credit. And that is what I call Brintech. Brintech, baby. So Bryn tells me that investments, the time you play it, is if you are a big money deck and you have the weakness that takes all your money. That's when you run investments. And I was like, Bryn, you're 100% right. So for that, I'm going to put this in the fine tier. It's on the low end of fine, but I think I'm going to put it in here. The card actually has a function and a purpose, and I'm happy for that. Decoy. 2 cost, favor service. It's a green event. Evade. Automatically evade a non-elite enemy at your location. When you play Decoy, you can increase its cost by 2 as a reaction to change a non-elite enemy to up to 2 non-elite enemies. When you play Decoy, as a reaction, you can increase its cost by 2 to change at your location to add a location up to 2 connections away. I mean, honestly, I think the card's good. Tesla's evade in a pinch is very powerful. Yeah, I don't think it's fine. I think it's above all of these cards. 4 resources to evade 2 enemies at your location, Teslasley. Yeah, your teammates love you anytime you play this. I think so. I think it becomes great in Preston. Becomes great in big money decks. But I've played this just in decks that also just are here. So I'm going to give Decoy a good. Divermus Mysteris. Okay, I still have to play this card this year too. I remember I was like, I know, I'll wait until after Scarlet Keys comes out to like really experiment with Divermus Mysteris, but Scarlet Keys did not do enough for Doom to make Divermus Mysteris like more interesting. Like it has the new Moonlight Ritual and like it has like Sin Eater, but Sin Eater is just like it's kind of intensive as well. I do think Divermus Mysterious is a good card. Let's get to it, though. 2 cost, 2 experience, item tome takes up the hand slot, and it's a mystic asset. As an action, exhaust Divermus Mysterious and place 1 Doom on it. Play a spell or inside event from your discard pile, reducing its resource by cost by 1. After that event resolves, remove it from the game. Playing your cards multiple times is a very powerful effect. Thankfully, this also has that little switch to stop you from just doing it endlessly, which is really good. I dig Divermus Mysterious. I'm going to give it... I don't think it's, for me, personally great. I think it's good, though. But I don't think it's in the great tier. Need more Mystic Insights, IMO? I could see that being the case. I feel like we're very light at the top, but I actually don't remember the other tier lists. Can't believe that Circle Undone released 4 years ago. Yeah, man. Time just keeps on slipping into the future. Check my phone. Okay. Guiding Spirit. This is a 1 cost, 1 experience ally Geist ally from the Survivor class. Soaks for 3 horror. You get +1 book. Non-direct horror must be assigned to Guiding Spirit before it can be assigned to your Investigator card. After Guiding Spirit is defeated by horror, we exile it. I think this card is underplayed. I think that's just the way it is. I don't think the card's great, but I think the card is good. 1 book is one book for 1 cost is super good. Yeah, and it's also very easy for it to just not die. It's very easy for this card to just not get killed. It does a lot for very, very little. I don't think the card, for me personally, is great, but I do think it's a good card that we should see in more decks. And that's my thought on Guiding Spirit. Just play your other... Like, if your first one's about to die, play your other Guiding Spirit. Compares very well to Church Keeps It. Yeah, it's just... I agree with that, and it's also, yeah, I agree. Gurik, it's just not hard. Not hard to get rid of. Also has a home in a parallel gym deck for 2 reasons. It's an ally and it's a ghost. So even more flavor. Yeah, it is really nice for like a book parallel gym. Good card. I really like it. I played it in a min deck, which is a little bit strange because you could just play Dr. Milan, but what it allowed me to do was to lower my curve, and then also it allowed me to lower my curve and spend more resources on other things as well, while still getting the +1 book from the Guiding Spirit. So yeah, cool card. Fortune or Fate. 2 cost, 2 experience, fast. Play 1 Doom to be placed on any scenario card, max once per game. Cancel 1 Doom just placed on that card and exile Fortune or Fate. Do you want to play Ancient Evils against the game? Because this is how you do it. Now the question is this good? Or is it great? Or is it fine? And I think the answer to that depends entirely on the scenario in question. So for example, when we did our Scarlet Keys run, and we were doing all the side scenarios as the joke, you know? And we played the Egypt one. The name is slipping. Guardians of the Abyss, right? And that's like, I brought it in because it's like, hey, we don't want to die here, right? Same with the Fortune or Fate, the guy doing the fortune telling thing. I forget the name of that card. The Dilemma. It goes up in value and becomes great or fantastic in those situations. Otherwise, it's kind of just there. But I mean, like, Ancient Eviling's the game, giving yourself a whole extra turn is really nice. And rogues pay, what, 8 experience for this effect? I think I'm going to give this card good, though. I don't think it's great, but we're going to give it good. It depends. It goes up depending on the campaign and scenarios and all that. But the effect is nice. Biggest one of those scenarios is Scenario 2, though. Do you want to exile Scenario 2 card at Scenario 2? Yeah, I mean, if you're playing a Deja Vu deck, and you put 3 experience, you did in the thick of it, and then you just Deja Vu and buy Fortune or Fate, use it immediately, and then you can just get it back immediately, assuming the rest of your deck's okay. I could see it. I could see that deck functioning. All right. The Mark 1 grenades, the MK1 grenades, 3 cost, 4 experience, item weapon ranged. If Mark 1's grenade has no supplies on it, discard it. Spend a supply, fight. You get +2 fist with this attack. If this attack is successful, instead of its standard damage, this attack deals 2 damage to each enemy and each other investigator at your location. Any additional damage is dealt to the attacked enemy. So I recently played with these cards. With this card, in a deck for my first time. And I was pretty damn impressed by it. It's super expensive for experience, but it doesn't take up any slots. It discards itself, and you're using your fist, and you're going to be dealing a bunch of damage anyway. I think I'm going to be putting this into the great tier. I do think the weapon is actually great. I do think the Mark 1 grenades are actually a great upgrade. I think they don't see play just because, like, you're spending your experience in other places, but I do think that Mark 1 grenades, the MK ones, I call them, maybe they are Mark, I don't know what it stands for. We just call them the Mark 1 grenades that, as far as I'm aware, with my ignorance, that it's just because Mark uses them. But I think they're great. I think it's a great weapon. And they do good damage. Yeah. I think so. That's where I'm going to sit with them. Agency Backup. 7 cost, 5 experience. Soaks for 4 and 4, and it's an ally. Don't you just love seeing a 7 in the cost? Agency Backup may be assigned damage under horror dealt to other investigators at your location. As a lightning bolt, exhaust Agency Backup and deal 1 damage to it. Deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location. Or exhaust Agency Backup and deal 1 horror to it. Discover 1 clue at your location. It's kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame that Tommy, like, with Agency Backup, you either need to wait through if you're through your weakness, or alternatively, you have to just, like, get rid of the Agency Backup before you draw your rookie mistake. Which I think ultimately is good, right? It's good that Tommy's weakness can actually impact the game in the way that it actually has to make you play around it, right? I think that's ultimately a good decision. But it does make Agency Backup, like, a little bit harder for someone like Tommy, because Tommy loves to use this card. With all that said, I still think Agency Backup is super sick, and actually now made me think of, like, versatiling Mr. Rook into Tommy to dig out your Agency Backup, but also dig out your rookie mistake when it's the least painful. It's a little bit memey, but it's certainly a little bit fun too, isn't it? Yeah, I think Agency Backup, they're really fun, they're really cool, and I mean, I have played Agency Backup, yeah. I think they're expensive, but their effect is so powerful. Like, they're worth all of it. I think I'm going to give them a grade as well. I think they're a great Guardian card. I think they're a little bit taken out by their cost, obviously. 5 experience and 7, but man, do they feel like they are worth it, you know? Dude, with Tommy, you can play, like, the level 2 chance encounter, too? Yeah, your motivational speeches. Oh, man. I think I want to play that deck. I think I want to play that. I dig it. I think it's a great card. Ghastly Revelation. 0 cost, discover 3 clues at your location. This is a spirit event, by the way. Give any number of your clues to another investigator or place any number of your clues on any location. You are defeated and suffer 1 mental trauma. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. So, can we talk about how Travis actually used this to positive effect to give us one additional experience in the House Always Wins in our recent draft run of it. And I gotta say, that's pretty impressive, you know? That Travis was actually able to use this as a pseudo delve too deep. I thought that was pretty damn funny. However, I don't think the card is good. I'm going to put this in the I regret playing this. Wow. 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 Studious. 3 experience, permanent. You begin each game with 1 additional card in your opening hand. I'll put that up in fantastic. I don't think it's busted. I think it's actually completely fair for its cost. But having 2 of these in play is chef's kiss. It's a great card. Again, I think it's also incredibly fair as well. It does exactly what it says on the tin, and it doesn't demand a lot from you to get that. So that is super impressive. Especially nice with the tarots. Amen. Amen. Great, 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 great. Small favor. This is the last of the services where you can pay to increase it. So I'm not going to talk about the pain, but you have 2 reactions to increase its cost. So small favor is a 2-cost event. Deal 1 damage to a non-elite enemy at your location. You may pay 2 to change it to 2 damage, and you may pay 2 to change it to 2 locations away. My biggest annoyance with small favor is that it deals you attack of opportunities. But I don't think the card's bad. I think it has its use cases, and I think overall it's a good card. I'm going to put it in the good. It is most often used to just eliminate acolytes and wizards of the orders. But also just like being able to kill other things is not bad. I don't think it's fine. Like maybe it is. Like maybe it is actually down here. But it's hard for me to say no to 4 resources for 2 deathless damage. Like, it just has its use cases where it's gonna do its job. It's probably my least played of the 3 that exist here, of Small Favor, Decoy, and Intel Report. No, I think it is just good. I don't think I'm going to put it down into fine. I don't think so. I think the effect is still just good. Being able to kill, like, also, like, just a whippoorwill for 2 is also really nice. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep it at good. It has a lot of uses, and it does what it says on the tin without requiring too much effort to go into it, which is, like, kind of the good tier in my definition of it. Another day, another dollar. You begin each game with 2 additional resources. I think it's it's not as good as Studious, but I still think it's a great card. I don't think, I mean, obviously one card is worth more than 2 resources, in my opinion, but I still think Another Day, Another Dollar is great. It's hard to say no to permanent cards that give you an effect for the rest of the campaign. It's hard to say no to that, right? Yeah. Big money decks love it. Starting at 9 instead of 5 is really good. Yeah, I dig it. It'd be fun to take Lola through Dark Matter with an In the Thick of It, so you get the 2 extra experience from the tablet, and you just get like all of these. That sounds kind of fun, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound kind of fun? Diana Esperance. 4 cost, 3 experience, ally witch in the Mystic class. 3 and 1 for soak, 3 secrets for its uses. As a lightning bolt, attach a non-weakness spell event from your hand to Diana Esperance. Limit 1 event attached to her. The attached event may be played as if it was in your hand. It is not placed in your discard pile after it is played. It remains attached. Additional cost to play the attached event, exhaust Diana Esperance, and spend 1 secret. So Diana is obviously a very, very powerful card. But it doesn't really have the... I mean, like, you're not playing the Mystic Ally for your brain, so it's actually not one of those things. I think I'm going to follow what my heart says right now. And my heart says that this card is fantastic. I don't play Mystic a lot. And I've actually not played a Diana deck. But I've seen Diana do a lot of disgusting things. And she gets better as you get better. And now, you can even put her in at level 0. I mean, by now, I mean Edge of the Earth, which came out like years ago at this point. And there's a lot... She changes... Her scale of power changes completely dependent on what you're putting on her. Read the signs. Spectral Razor. Ward 2. Ward 5. Deny 5, right? Like, all these things are really powerful things. It depends entirely on what she's holding. Edge of the Earth feels like it was yesterday. I'm telling you, not if you make 365 Arkham videos. It does not feel like yesterday. When you make 365 Arkham videos, time you really can see the difference between Edge of the Earth and now. Very powerful card. Deny 5. So take Deny 0, flip it and reverse it. You do the opposite. Give me a fantastic on that one. Twins! Yeah, I'm going to put that in fantastic. Hard to say no to doing the opposite. Trial by Fire. 3 cost, Survivor Spirit. It's an event. Fast. Play only during your turn. Choose one of your skills. Until the end of your turn, set the base value of that skill to 5. Why does it cost 3? Why does it cost 3? Because in Preston it feels like totally fine. But you feel like they would like also look at who's the survivor from this box? Is it Rita? And be like, Rita probably wants to play this, but Rita doesn't want to pay 3 for it. Like, you pay 1 for something that boosts a stat to 5 for 1 action. Yeah, so I guess, like, the math behind it is you do it for 3, but I think the math doesn't actually, like, check out, you know? Like, in theory, like, yeah, the math totally checks out, you know? I would pay 1, fast, turn my stat to 5 for 1 action. But 3 for 3, actually, it doesn't. It's plus 5 for... I mean, obviously, like, Kelvin and Preston, but I think the card, to be honest... I'm going to put it here. It should cost 2. And Kelvin and Preston, I think the card is fine. I think there's better things you can do in each of them, but I think as a whole, I'm going to put this in the I regret playing this card tier. Yeah, I want to bulk buy discount too. I want it to cost 2. I think at 2 I'd be interested. Dude, maybe the cycle. I mean, like, there's the spread on this side. We should look, before we close the video, I should look at some of the other ones. We are almost done. We're on the end is in sight. But first we gotta talk about bait and switch, level 3. Either choose one. Evade. If you succeed and the enemy is non-elite, evade the enemy and move it to a connecting location. Or evade. Use only a non-elite enemy at your connecting location. If you succeed, evade that enemy and switch locations with it. So, I played this card yesterday. And it wasn't good. Which is a shame, because like it reads everything on it. You read it and you're like, I like what this card does. You know, like I'm talking about from the perspective of like Rita and all that. But yeah, it's overcosted. It's paying a little bit of that survivor tax. We're like, hey, survivor's got nothing to spend their experience on, so let's do this. However, in 2023, soon to be 2024 Arkham, Survivor does have things to spend their experience on, right? So I think I'm going to put this down here. I regretted playing it. It was the exact definition. I was like, oh, this card doesn't do what I thought. So, rest in peace, Bait and Switch 3. This does 4 actions in 1 if you actually want to do all those things. It is true. It does do 4 actions in 1. But, like, even in my Arita deck where I was built to only evade, I was like, I don't think I'm happy with this card being here. You didn't like Trial by Fire, even in Preston? Trial by Fire, it goes up to fine in Preston and Kelvin, but otherwise it's bad. That was my thought. Because what am I going to do? Play this card in, like, Rita to be able to attack or investigate better? I'll just run, like, Old Keyring and just do that instead. So yeah, that's the problem with it. It's just overcosted, but it's better in other people. But I'll give shoutouts when a card is better, but it doesn't help its rating if it's like only in 2 decks that it's like you really want to play it in. Play Trial by Fire and Danielle to get 3 clues. If you do that, anyone watching, I'll ask, why the fuck did you not just play Scene of the Crime? Like, why didn't you just play Scene of the Crime, grab 2 clues, and then kill the enemy? Why didn't you just do that? Why didn't you just do the thing that was good? Why did you spend one of your 5 level 0 slots on Trial by Fire to get 3 clues as Daniela? Why did you do that? Why? Alright, Anna Caslow. 3 cost, 4 experience. Ally slot. This frail lady only soaks for 1 and 1. And she's literally the linchpin in your deck that holds it together. And she soaks for 1 and 1 and costs 4 experience. Anyways, you have 2 additional tarot slots. When the game begins as a reaction, if she's in your opening hand, put her into play. She's like a tarot card. And then after she enters play, search your deck for a tarot asset and put it into play. I don't think she's in the I regret playing this because she has like her deck archetype. So we're going to be putting her in the fine tier. But honestly, this is such a design oddity to me, right? I feel like she should at least soak for 2 and 2. So she doesn't just die to anything. You know? So you can at least have like 1 whiff and be like, oh, now I gotta protect Anna, right? I guess you can't have the star as one of your tarots. It is true. You know, I'll spend 7 experience to make her a bit more playable. 7 total. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I think, like, she does her job, and I think she's, like, fine at doing her job. Her job is a little bit memey. But she needed more soak. Or stay where she was and drop down an experience level. So, rest in peace, Anna Caslow. You can sit in the fine tier. Hollowed Mirror. Guys, look. I've done it. I have the bonded cards. What were they cooking, introducing bonded here? They wanted to preview it for what was to come. They wanted to preview it for everybody. I like it. I like that they had like a seed for what was going to be coming in the future. Hallowed Mirror, 2-cost asset, limit 1 per deck. After it enters play, search your bonded cards for 3 copies of Soothing Melody, add 1 to your hand, and shuffle the other 2 into your deck. When Hallowed Mirror leaves play, find each of the copies of Soothing Melody, even if they're out of the play, and remove them from the game. Soothing Melody, bonded card, 0 cost. Heal 2 damage or 2 horror for any combination thereof. From among investigators and or ally assets at your location, draw 1 card. So it's going to be up here. It's going to be either great or fantastic. I think I'm going to put it in great. Mostly because I think the upgraded version is fantastic. And I think this one's great. And if we say they both belong in the same tier, then why would I ever upgrade it? Right? Right, so like that's kind of like, I am future-proofing my own tier lists. That's what I'm doing right now. Because I think if this just existed right now without the upgrade, I think this card would be fantastic. But because the upgrade exists, and I think the upgrade is fantastic, it would be up here. And if they were in the same tier, in my opinion, there would be no reason for us to have the upgrade, because we already have a fantastic version of the card. But I think the upgraded Hallowed Mirror is fantastic. I think the tier should have XP in mind. Level 0 is fantastic for level 0, and the level 3 is fantastic for level 3. That is a fair point. But I also think that I wouldn't call Hallowed Mirror 0 fantastic, personally. I think it's great. I don't think it's fantastic. I think the level 3 version is fantastic. I think the level 0 version is just great, though. Both denies are sitting fantastic right now. Yeah, but I rarely upgrade my my deny existence. I think the upgrade's fantastic, but I think the level 0 version is also fantastic. I'm telling you, there's a difference between them. I do think that this one's just great. If the level 3 version never existed, this one would be here. Otherwise, I'm happy with this one here. If this one does exist, I'm still happy with this one right there. They're both fantastic cards. Okay. With that said, though, I do think Hallowed Mirror is overplayed. I think people play it more than they should, just because they're just like, oh, I always love Hallowed Mirror, I'm going to play it here. That's my thought of the day. I think more Guardians should be happy to run Riot Whistle over Hallowed Mirror. They just do Hallowed Mirror because they're like, I need a necklace slot, I'll play Hallowed Mirror. That's just my thought of the day. But people aren't ready to hear that yet. Alright, I've had worse. Oh, the level 2 version. This card is great. 0 cost, 2 experience, Spirit. I've had worse. Fast. Play when you're dealt damage and or horror. Cancel up to 2 damage and or horror just dealt to you, then gain that many resources. I think this card's great. I think it's a great card. I don't think it's fantastic. I think it's just great, though. It's really good economy. It prevents damage. With with Diana, it's fantastic. But I think overall, card's just great. I'd be happy to see more Guardians run this card too, just to like run it. I think it's pretty sweet. I think it's a pretty sweet card. Okay. Occult Lexicon, you say. Another bonded card. Oh, look at that! I have the card right here. Okay. Occult Lexicon. 2-cost asset, limit 1 per deck. After it enters play, search your bonded cards for 3 copies of Bloodright, add 1 to your hand, and shuffle the other 2 into your deck. When Occult Lexicon leaves play, find each of those copies of Bloodright, even if they are out of play, and remove them from the game. Bloodright! Draw 2 cards, discard up 2 cards from your hand for each card thusly discarded. You may either gain a resource or spend 1 resource to deal 1 damage to an enemy or location. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Almost busted? No, I don't think it's almost busted. I think Occult Lexicon is also great. Once again, I think the upgraded version is fantastic. Just changing the 2 from a 3 and a reshuffle on 2 is a really nice change. I also know some people don't like having to discard cards to do the effect on Occult Lexicon. So, if you read the card as instead, Bloodright just says spend 2 resources to discard the top 2 cards of your deck to deal 2 damage to an enemy at your location, it changes the value of it, right? So what it does instead then, it just says discard like the 2 worst cards in your hand to deal 2 damage to an enemy. And I think that's a really powerful effect. And like if you don't want to like make choices, just discard the top 2 of your deck instead. Don't even worry about it. Just be like, see ya later, you know? I know you might get a weakness and then you have to do the whole math, but that's kind of like where Bloodright lives. Except you draw your weaknesses thusly discarded. No, it's not exactly the same, right? But it's the same kind of idea. The card was never in your hand to begin with. If you look at it that way, you actually have never really like lost a resource. But it's even better than that because you get to choose the best. You get to choose the best cards to discard to deal the damage. You don't even need to be engaged with the enemy. It's a very powerful card. Oh, get out of here. Bloodright. Glimpse the Unthinkable, level 5. 5 experience, 1 cost, Seeker event. It's an insight. Shuffle any number of non-weakness cards from your hand into your deck. Draw cards until you reach your maximum hand size, then remove Glimpse the Unthinkable from the game. So, what's the other Glimpse the Unthinkable? Does it cost 1, and what cycle is it from? Yeah, it's a 1 cost from Harvey Walters. So, the level 5 version is just too much experience, right? The level 1 version from Harvey Walters is kind of just like the perfect version of the card IMO. So I'm actually going to put this one in the fine tier. I don't think I regret playing it. I think in the right deck, I can get the hell behind this card, right? But the problem is that the level 0 version, the level 1 version is just exactly what you want, right? Glimpse the Unthinkable exists for card selection. It's not so much actually card draw, right? It's when you're looking for combo pieces, you use Glimpse the Unthinkable to grab those combo pieces, or alternatively, you use it with some of the Ancient Stones, right? I think that it's just that the problem is that the level 1 version is just better than this card. So I'm going to be putting the fine in here as this one. And that was our last Seeker card. Hey baby, you owe me one! 0 cost, Favor Gambit from the Rogue class. Look at another Investigator's hand. You may play a non-weakness card on that Investigator's hand under your control. If you do, you and that Investigator each draw a card. Brent and I have plans for this card. We're going to be doing some stuff with it in the future. So, in the past, I would have put this in the I regret playing this tier. I would have put this in the fine tier as well. I'd be like, maybe fine. But I'm going to put this in good. And the reason for that is because of what Teamwork did in our Daniela run, in our Scarlet Keys when Daniela turned into Carson Sinclair's monster. And I now have a new respect for these cards. It's worse than Teamwork. I do think You Owe Me One is worse than Teamwork. So you're not supposed to tell other players by your hand. You can't say what's in your hand, but you can say the horse is in the stable. There's nothing saying, the horse is in the stable. I think this one's worse than Teamwork because Teamwork is actually also a sort of economy card, right? Teamwork, you can also move resources around, which is actually pretty powerful of an effect, right? But I do think that I am now a believer in these kind of cards because of what we did in the Teamwork run. And what we're hopefully going to be able to see in this run that Bryn and I have cooking up that we're going to do. And Travis is involved too, so Travis might also think of something a little bit wild. Okay. Double Double. This is an exceptional asset. Costs 4, so it costs 8 experience in total. After playing an event, exhaust Double Double. Play that event again as if it was your hand. It takes up the spell slot. So, the biggest problem with Double Double is that you have to find it. And if you don't, you're kind of like, well, my deck has just gotten worse because of that. However, if you get Double Double on turn 1, you're going to the fucking moon, my brother. You're going up into space, and you're having a great time up in space. I experienced this firsthand during a patron game day for Safina. You did, but luckily you still killed it. I do think I'm going to put Double Double in great, though. I think the card is a great effect. It's very powerful. It's an entire deck archetype, so it's not one of those things that you need to like build around to like make it. It's not like a piece of an archetype that gets enhanced by it. It literally is the archetype. But I don't think it's fantastic because you only get one of them. And most of the plan with Double Double is being Safina and just hoping you get it in your 13 card mulligan. I like that it doubles the cost. Yeah, no, that is really fun. Doubles the XP cost. I'd love to see a version of this card that costs 2. Like 2 cost, not experience. I think the 8 experience is pretty fair for it. But it like cost 2 but took up both spell slots. I think that would be interesting to see. Maybe even like 3 experience then and it takes up both spell slots and still exceptional. Okay. Whew, my throat is starting to hurt. All right, we're at the upgraded Withers and the upgraded Sixth Sense. So we're going back to that conversation we had earlier. We can use that same comparison of the idea of a basic fight versus a basic investigate and the comparisons we get from them. So, level 4 Wither. Fight. This attack uses brain instead of fist. You get +2 brain for this attack. Sounding good so far. If a skull, cultist, tablet, or squid is revealed during this attack, the attacked enemy gets -1 fight, -1 health, and -1 evade for the remainder of the turn to a minimum of 1. Comparing this to Sixth Sense. Because again, to kind of just, once I start shit-talking Wither, we're going to understand why that is when we compare this to the level 4 Sixth Sense. So, investigate and using, it's also 4 experience and 3 cost. Investigate using brain instead of book. You get +2 brain for this investigation. If a skull, a skull, cultist, tablet, or squid is revealed during this test, you may choose a real location up to 2 connections away. You are now investigating as if you were at the chosen location in addition to your location, and you may use either shroud value. Okay. So we go back to our original conversation about Wither and Sixth Sense, where this card, if you look at it as just something that gives you a basic investigate or a basic fight that doesn't cost a charge, that's good. However, again, a basic fight and a basic investigate are not equal. So in theory, we want the Wither's symbol effects to do a better job than the Sixth Sense. So the Wither gives you -1 health. So it's effectively doing the damage for the turn. So it's effectively dealing 2 damage when you reveal one of those. This card always gives you an additional... This card always gives you a deduction, right? And it lasts forever because the deduction just happens when you get it. So again, we had Sixth Sense in good, and the upgraded Sixth Sense for me is up there in fantastic. Card is insane. The value that this card can bring, and this card, get ready, motherfuckers. Everyone get ready. This is me saying motherfuckers as a term of endearment because I love all of you. But get ready, all you motherfuckers, for this card to shoot up in value astronomically with the new upgraded Olive. Sixth Sense 4 is about to get even stronger. Because the new parallel... Sorry, not the new parallel Olive. The new Olive is, like, damn good. She's damn good, yo. And it's one of those things that she's going to make this card even more reliable. Looking at 4 and choosing 2 is huge in comparison to looking at 3 and choosing 2. It's going to be wild. And you know what? You just have down the rabbit hole to make it all work. All right, back to Wither. So, my same points still stand. This card should stay to the remainder of the phase. The fact that it's still turn isn't cash money. I think this should stay phase. It feels good. It should say phase, not stay phase. It feels good to hit the skull, hit a symbol token on this card. It is really nice to do that. However, the fact that like suddenly it goes to another investigator's turn and all progress on it is lost is not great. I think this should stay phase. I don't think Wither 4 is as bad as Wither 0 because it actually can deal extra damage, but I do not think the card is good. I'm going to put it in fine. It goes up in value with the upgraded sign magic, but even then, it's the whole basic investigate versus basic damage. The what you get in, like what you put into the basic, you need to get more out because a basic investigate is worth a lot more than a basic fight. Okay, my voice is going, but we only have 2 cards left, so we can do this. Eldritch Inspiration does work for this one. Yeah, because you choose an additional revealed location, and you are also investigating that location. So with the Eldritch Inspiration, going back to that card, you can resolve it at an additional time. You are investigating 3 locations in addition to your 2 other locations in addition to your location. Lure! 1 cost, 2 experience. This is a survivor trick. Attach your location or connecting location during the enemy phase. Each enemy that moves does so along the shortest path toward the attached location instead of where it would normally move. While attached at the end of the round, discard Lure. Lure works on elites. It does. So if you asked me a year ago, I would probably put this card down here. But it's going to live up in the fine tier because there's now a home for it. And those are my definitions. I mean, I guess it's not actually my definition. I put Trial by Fire down here. But I'll be honest, I won't play this in Kelvin or Preston. So this is my own tier list. As always, if you disagree, you know, more power to you. We're all humans with our own opinions. But I think that this card I actually enjoy playing in Parallel Ashcan Pete. And I think it does a really good job there. Oh, shit. I dropped my pen. Got my pen. Okay. And we have one final card, Eucatastrophe. 2 cost, 3 experience, fast. Play when you reveal a chaos token that would reduce your skill value to 0 during a skill test, including the autofail token. Cancel that token and treat it as an Elder Sign token instead. I don't think it's fantastic. I think the card is just great. I don't think the card is fantastic, mostly because a lot of people are not running it. It removes itself from the game. And yeah, there's a combo you can do to, like, you know, play it forever, right? Do we disregard the no? I mean, I'm not I'm literally talking about the non-taboo Silas combo. But that doesn't make Eucatastrophe a good card. That makes Silas a good user. Like, it doesn't make Eucatastrophe a great card. It makes Silas a fantastic user of Eucatastrophe, right? The loop unique to Silas doesn't make Eucatastrophe better, in my opinion. It makes Eucatastrophe makes Silas better, right? Elder Sign tokens are great, and Survivors and Father Mateo, who can play this, have great Elder Sign tokens. This card also is just like a way to also kind of turn into another Lucky. It removing itself from the game was a very good taboo. And I think that, like, with the Resourceful, it becomes even nicer. But I think the reality is that unless you're, like, striving to hit this and you're just playing it normally, it's going to be pretty, like, this is, like, the most normal use case. It's going to trigger pretty 1 or 2 times. Unless you're really unlucky with the autofail token. But I think the card is great. I don't think it's fantastic. To me, there's not much of a difference with the taboo outside of Silas. And I still don't really feel compelled to play Eucatastrophe that much. But I think the card is really great. Okay. Chat. We've done it. We have another... These videos are just getting longer. We have another tier list in the book, Revisit. So we have here... Let me see if I can get the other ones too. We can compare to see how they all are. My account. This one. This one. This one. This one. Okay. So we got 3 busted cards, a bunch of fantastic cards, a bunch of great cards, a good chunk of good, a lot of fine, and so 1, 2, I'm always curious about the busted and the I regret playing this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 fine cards. This makes sense. 8 in a row. Notably, there will be a link down to this in the description. But we can look at the Forgotten Age. Oh, it's just not here anymore. Never mind. We actually can't look at the previous ones. No, they're not there for any of them. Okay, I mean, I can look back in the videos sometime in the future. Maybe I'll do like a big retrospective when the whole thing's done, and I can compare all of the tier lists for that afterwards. I think that could be really fun. But I hope you enjoyed this 2 hours and 43 minutes of me just rambling on about cards, sharing my own opinions on them. Again, these are just my opinions and how I organize my own tier list. I'm never upset if someone is like, hey, actually, I think you're wrong here, and this is how I do it. Just, if you're going to do it, just be normal about it. You know? Like, don't be like, you're wrong. Just be like, I disagree. Just be normal. Like, be reasonable. We're all humans, just on a fucking rock flinging through space. So just be chill about it. And I'm happy to talk about it. I love talking about Arkham cards with everyone on Twitch, where I stream every Tuesday and Friday for Arkham. And I love talking with all the YouTube commenters in our Discord as well. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Huge shout out to all of our patrons supporting the channel. If you want to support the channel, you can do so on Patreon. But in the meantime, have a good one. Thanks for watching. And as always, GG's.